2018 midterms are just around the corner, and voting technology vendors have recently been hit with scrutiny over the security of the voting machines and software used across the country. Eric Geller is a cybersecurity reporter for Politico. Eric, when I think back to, going voting with my mom as a kid, almost voter booth technology almost seems like an oxymoron. There are these antiquated machines, with little old ladies and phone books. But you've been digging into the actual security measures. What are they doing?
Well, the biggest thing they're doing right now, Stephanie, is they're saying, don't worry, we've got everything under control.
Okay, that's not working.
After the 2000 election, there was a rush to buy these electronic machines. You remember the hanging Chad issues in that election. And in the time since, there hasn't really been a lot of focus on security. There's been a focus on accessibility, using electronic machines. Well, there's been a lot of cybersecurity experts recently saying there are all kinds of ways that you can tamper with the either official or unofficial results if you can exploit some of these flaws. You go to the companies, as I have, and you ask them to talk about this, and they don't want to talk about it. I reached out to several of the major companies for a story I wrote recently, and they kind of got together and just sent me a statement that didn't address any of my questions, but said, we take security very seriously. And when you talk to the people who examine these machines, because every state has the companies submit the machines for testing, the experts say, we can't believe what we're finding, and this has been the story for 10 years. They find these flaws over and over again. They go to the companies, and the companies say, don't worry about it. This could never be exploited in practice.
Okay, we reached out to all 9 companies that you named for their response to the story, and they all essentially echo 3 main points from the joint statement signed by Clear Ballot, Dominion Voting Systems, Election Systems, and Software Heart and Unison, saying, quote, voting systems were not hacked or compromised in the 2016 election. Voting systems are tested, certified, and publicly vetted, and voting system manufacturers are doing our part to keep elections transparent and secure. Okay, so these companies say their machines are accurately tested. So where's the disconnect?
So a couple of things. First, when the testing happens, it's often in a setting where if there was an issue with the machine, if there's a flaw in the machine, you wouldn't necessarily know that it had been exploited. So with electronic machines, there's a popular type of a machine called a DRE machine. It's used in a lot of states, and you can add on a feature to produce a paper record. But if you don't have that feature and the software is tampered with, there's essentially no way to know that that happened, because think about it, a hacker, if they tamper with the software, they're also going to tamper with the log that says what happened on the machine, so you would never know. The other thing is, when researchers want to do independent testing, so testing outside of the state-mandated testing, they're often told, well, you've got to sign confidentiality agreements, you've got to do it in these conditions, you can't see particular data, you can't take particular data with you. And what they told me for this story is, the more people you can have looking at a system, the more likely you are to find a flaw. When you reduce the number of people who can look at a system, the level of confidence you have that there are no problems decreases. So those are the 2 kind of main concerns that the experts told me when I sort of read them that statement that I was given.
There's concerns, and these companies aren't talking. Companies don't talk. They've got lawyers. Those lawyers are risk managers. They don't answer any questions. They don't have to. So the answer could be regulation. Because if you're regulated, you got no choice. You got to fess up.
It's certainly a discussion that many states are having, and at the federal level there is some interest in legislation to say, here's what you ought to do if you want federal money, saying to the states, if you want federal money to upgrade your voting machines, you have to require companies to meet these standards. And to your point earlier about companies having lawyers and everything like that, this is a very small industry, and it's hard to make a profit because, you and I might buy a new iPhone every year. States are not buying voting equipment very regularly, and so voting vendors, they want to make expensive products. That often means electronic products, and they want to include a lot of licensing deals so that you have to keep licensing the software. They're trying really hard to make a profit, as every private company does, and it's very difficult in this space.
Public companies, too. All right, thanks so much for joining us. We tell people to vote. They should trust the system, or be able to. All right, any minute now, we're expecting to hear from the head of the NRA, Wayne LaPierre Jr., to take the stage at CPAC. We're going to bring that to you live. Stay with us. This is MSNBC.